NFTs have gone mainstream with several celebrities dropping their collections, but for the first time, we have a superstar who not only brings in his star power, but also technical expertise backed by a solid team and access to an ecosystem with rights to iconic IPs. Rana Daggubati, welcome to Moneycontrol.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yep. Rana, now the world knows you as a popular actor and a producer, but you've also been an entrepreneur. In fact, you launched a cutting-edge VFX studio years before you became a professional actor. Where does this interest in tech stem from?
I'll tell you why I'm here doing what I do is I grew up in an environment that got me to watch a lot of movies, lots of Star Wars type stuff, which I grew up on. And I understood cinema in India, and visual effects was my first real step into making larger spectacle-based films in others. So it's really started from there. When I had to enter that world of visual effects, it was extreme tech. And for somebody who's from the film world, who's from an engineering, mechanical world of getting things done, this was very different, very new. Mm-hmm. But now it's been, what, 15, 16 years that I've been engaged with tech, that I'm part of this universe as much as I am in the film world.
Interesting. Very nice. So did you study tech growing up as well?
No, I didn't study anything. I studied photography. And I quit commerce halfway through. I studied industrial photography. I graduated myself to a cinematographer after I did a few still projects. And oddly so, visual effects came to me because I was a cinematographer, because there was a lot of early 3D and visual effects happening in the advertising world.
Sure.
And so a friend of mine called me, said, okay, you can shoot in the real world. Can you shoot digitally? Help me set up compositions and frames. So that's really how it all started for me. And it's
you learned on the job as well, probably, right? Just being on a movie set and being
completely learned on the job. I think that's how it was done.
And Rana, now you're also a partner in Anthill Studios and, of course, Ikonz. And would love to know more about both these ventures and what your role is and what kind of projects you're backing.
Okay, so first with Anthill Studios, right? That's the mothership of all, where we said, okay, now we've been in the entertainment business for so many years, and what we need real aid is for a lot of media tech to come and support this ongoing entertainment ecosystem. Blockchain was one of the first investments we've actually had. The idea of we use a lot of film rights and others, and we said we need to find a more interesting way to syndicate these rights. And the more and more you grow as a company, the larger it becomes, and you have too much rights to have access to. And that's the first step that we led into. Then we started with sports engagement tech, with a lot of visual effects tech, lots in the AI world, lots in the virtual reality world, a little bit in the gaming world. So that was our first focus. And Ikonz kind of came out of that, where you were already a blockchain aggregator. We understood so much of blockchain. We had so many blockchain assets that we invested in. And so when we met Abhinav Prasad and I, and that's when Ikonz was born. We said, let's park all the IPs that are extremely valuable in the digital world in this place. So Ikonz became the holder for ACK, for Tinkle Studios, for Suresh Productions. All of the classic legacy things that we control within our ecosystem is now parked at Ikonz.
Coming to NFTs, and NFTs have suddenly taken off, and you guys are sitting on some fantastic IP. And what are your plans with these NFT collections? Apart from just owning the NFT, what are the benefits for the users?
So it's multi-ways, right? Like today, if you're building anything which is an NFT, the idea is for it to have extreme relevance in the metaverse, in the Web3, however you'd like to call it. So with our assets, it's obviously extreme art and storytelling, where the fans can get to engage with these independent art pieces in the NFT world. But taking Amar, Chitra, Katha and taking that lead from there, the idea is to build an entire metaverse that kind of holds mythology together, where you can really engage with India's storytelling from the past to the present in different formats. And that's really what we're trying to do in these metaverses.
So, it's really interesting because play to earn gaming has really taken off, and even in the lockdown, a country like Philippines, a lot of people started playing this game called Axie Infinity, and they were actually earning money out of that game.
Yes.
So it was supporting like an ecosystem, it became a job for a lot of people who probably couldn't go to work because of the lockdown. And I think there's a lot one can do with some of your assets as well. So for example, if I own, let's say the Chanakya character, right? It could possibly give me access to certain online or offline events, or, I could have, an in-game asset. So let's say you've gamified some of these characters. I could have an in-game asset, and I could perhaps, have Arjuna's bow and arrow. Arjuna is a very skilled, shooter. And that could have value in the marketplace as well, right?
See, what we have is slightly a bit more deeper than that. See, the idea of how do we hold mythology together, right? And in India together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you take like an unlimited timeline of stories that is sitting at ACK,
right,
from our first comic Krishna to the ones that keep coming every quarter,
right?
There's really a lot of worlds that are captured. Mm-hmm. And the idea is today, if you want to be in Dwaraka, you should be able to be there. You should be able to engage with all the stories that happened back in that time.
Mm-hmm.
Be able to learn. You should be able to trade. You should be able to do business. See, today we're really at the brim of the iceberg in terms of how we're using the NFT world, or using the internet rather, right?
Right.
The minute it gets into that 3D world, everything will be about storytelling, and nothing is going to be this flat. We'd be sitting in the same room. We'd be having this conversation like we are together in that room. So I think that's the power of engagement will start defining how the users start using it and what it really benefits. But as for us, we want to build the entire universe of storytelling and make sure it's all there engaged.
Most people think of NFTs as just art, but I think there's so much more. It's like a whole ecosystem. It's more than just owning a JPEG or, perhaps a video clip. I think it's access.
This is probably the best way to digitally and physically create a community that will last much longer than a film, much longer than a single token or an event.
Right.
Where the fans can get to engage with talent or that content in a much more beneficial manner.
Seems like you've got your plate full with so many IPs, from Bahubali to Suresh Productions to Amar, Chitra, Katha, and so many. Will you have the bandwidth to, let's say, perhaps digitize some of the content, or maybe launch NFT collections for other movie stars, and perhaps form use cases for their collections?
Oh, see, the idea was first building out Ikonz was, here you go, let's park everything that's available in one place. Mm-hmm. So the piece at least can be built as a large whole. Right. So yes, apart from ACK, apart from SP, apart from the stars that are in-house, there will also be a lot more that we'll do for external film IPs or talent IPs. I think that there'll be a lot that you'll start seeing in the future.
You mentioned you want to build a mythological metaverse. So are you building this from ground up on a blockchain yourself, or are you perhaps purchasing land in, let's say, a decentral land and developing it there?
No, so we're building this all on our blockchain platform first, because we believe that a product like ACK is such a large brand, which encompasses so much storytelling.
Yeah.
In fact, we're now in early stage of pre-production of the first set of feature films that we're putting out of Amar, Chitra, Katha.
Okay.
So some are mythology based, some are history based, again, from different languages, different regions. Right. So there's a large visualization of that entire universe that's happening right now in the film and the OTT world. Now the idea is, which part of it do we make 3D, which part of it that we make sure our audiences from the theaters will continue to use here, or users here will continue to go back there. So
Right.
So that's the 360 that we're trying to build out at ACK. It's large, and it's a large team that's moving forward towards that effort.
What, any of your movies or some of these Amar Chitra Katha, comics that are being, or mythological stories that are being, made into movies, that could be another interesting aspect for a lot of the audience as well.
See, one thing, once the blockchain becomes active and it starts being used in different industries more actively, if the digital owners of music or the digital buyers of music start buying on blockchain to make this whole trade transparent and clean, it'll start changing the entire ecosystem of music, film, everything that you see today. You'll be engaged in a very, very different manner once that trade starts beginning.
No, and that's why I was really interested when I first heard of Ikonz. I'm like, these guys have fantastic IP, and there's so much one can do. Yes. And these guys are sitting on a gold mine of sorts, because essentially your Web3 wallet, your MetaMask wallet, that'll become like your Twitter profile. So I could have, an NFT of my favorite Amar Chitra Katha character as my display picture in my Web3 wallet, and it represents who I am. Or I could have my favorite tune as well. So I have a collection of NFTs that really represent who I am in my Web3 wallet, which is public, similar to what a Twitter profile is today. And also in the term of digital avatars, right? So a lot of these characters are, they're timeless, they're evergreen. But let's say I have my digital avatar and you've got your digital avatar, right? In the metaverse, eventually we're all going to have our own digital avatars in the metaverse. But there's got to be some way for your digital avatar to gain value over time, right? And you can gamify them. So let's say if you gamify it, and if I'm able to get the sharpshooting skills of an Arjuna combined with the buddhi of a Chanakya, suddenly my digital avatar, has value in the metaverse, which could possibly give me access to maybe some online or offline events, or maybe.
For sure. I mean, that'll start. See, once there's enough built within different metaverses and different ways of engaging. See, right now there's gaming that is blowing up in the blockchain world. Crypto gaming is going like crazy.
Right. Yeah.
So everyone will start finding different use cases. It's almost like a new universe where we all enter and see what the best engagement form for each of us. Right. And the characters that we build out rather within the Ikonz ecosystem should be able to be used in other spaces. Right. Engage with them. Celebrities should be able to engage with their fans and their avatars in a much closer manner than what they do in the physical world. Right. So all of this is going to make it very, very possible and make it a very new experience for all of us.
Right. And we can also have different metaverses, right? We can have niche metaverses. So there could be a mythological metaverse. There could be another film metaverse. There could be a sports metaverse. And these metaverses could be interoperable. So a character in one metaverse, once the character gains some skills, the avatar gains some skills, can move around different metaverses, right?
Of course, yes.
And perhaps get access to other events as well. So just another thought and another idea. If I own, let's say, 5 NFTs from, Amar Chitra Katha or Bahubali, or your entire ecosystem from your metaverse, I could be eligible for a super rare NFT. So I own 5 NFTs. I can swap that for a super rare NFT, which gives me even more premium access.
Even more privilege. And see, ultimately, it's tribal affiliation. No, what is your tribe? And that becomes a global tribe in this digital world when you own a certain set of NFTs, and like that demand, like you rightly said, that becomes your Twitter profile or your Insta profile. Right. Represents your personality very clearly. So from there, I think each piece will lead it to a different club or a different group.
Right.
Because access.
And Rana, now you've just about raised funding recently.
Yes.
And you're just about launching this. Do you have a timeline in place for this in terms of your roadmap and your milestones? How soon you want to build this out? Because it seems like a task, right?
Oh, it's a huge task. I mean, trying to build out NFTs is interesting. Is not that hard a task once you have your aggregation on blockchain together.
Right.
The minute you want to get into metaverse, engage with the real world and digital world together, make sure that the people buying NFTs have a extremely connected real world sense of things. So that's going to take a pretty much a while. So I think it's going to be a good 6 months before we start dropping things, 3 to 6 months, where you'll see the first cycle. And then you'll start hearing the announcements of each of the metaverses in the best way possible.
And the good thing is you have a strong team backing you, right?
Yes.
Because I could be, a movie star or an athlete, and I'm, perhaps relying on a third party to help, create my NFT collection. But in this case, you have the whole infrastructure from, studios to 3D to visual effects to blockchains to a company that's well funded to, the right advisors on board, which is, I think,
anytime you're early on in this game, I think it's very important for people to have the right mentorship around you. So you know the direction you're heading or where you're going forward is the right thing to do.
Right. And Rana, if I may ask, which blockchain are you building this out on? Because there are now multiple blockchains that are also trying to be interoperable. And this industry is at a stage where, the tech layer, the infrastructure layer is being built. So in a way, we are sort of where we were with the internet perhaps 25 years ago, the 56K dial-up modem days of the internet. That's sort of like where I feel we are. And a lot of the infrastructure is yet to be built out. But there are some incredibly smart minds that are at work on this.
Yes. See, what it's right now, where we are is different forms of engagement would start using different platforms for at least for the next 2-3 years. See, we have partners like Polygon. We have enough of others that are on board with us, giving us the right directions.
Right.
See, we have the NFT world with all the IPs that we want to syndicate and aggregate. You have the content world, which almost becomes like a digital B2B business. So that will be a completely different platform that will be on. And like you said, it's the beginning of time. I think once each application is driven, and once they start understanding how to talk to one another, it'll just become one big operating system that we'll all be on.
Right. No, that's fantastic. And Rana, I'm a bit of a traveler myself, and a bit of an adventure junkie as well, if I may. But I always like to close out by asking my guests, if there was one city or country that you could own in the metaverse. I know you're building your own metaverse, but hypothetically speaking, let's say if you had the choice to perhaps purchase a piece of land, a country, a city, your favorite city for whatever reason, or favorite country, which one would it be and why?
Oh, that's actually a hard question for someone like me who's engaged in so much of building these metaverses. But see, what would it be? Right? See, everything that I know in this physical world, I'd want something beyond. So I'd hope the metaverse kind of gives me access to time and space, which is much more unique than what is going on right now. So that'll be where my hunt is.
Time and space, so some place perhaps beyond what this physical world offers, right?
Somewhere there, right? I'm saying once you're in that metaverse, you want to see something that's or understands things that you can't do here. So it should be a much more different, engage me in a much more different manner.
Thank you so much, Rana. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thanks. Bye.